Today we're going to be doing intermediate. I'm going to show you traditional grip and I'm going to show you. This is Clayton Skinner. Welcome to another episode of Beyond the Beat. Hello, my name is Clayton Skinner and welcome to Beyond the Beat. In this episode I'm going to teach you how to play 16th notes on your hi-hat, but with both hands. I have an entire series based on playing 16th notes on your hi-hat. The thing is though is that every one of those videos is based off of you playing one hand on your hi-hat. Now there's a different way that you can do this. You don't necessarily have to play it with one hand. You can actually play it with two hands. What you do simply is rather than playing 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a, you just play the 16th note, same 16th note pattern, but split it up with each hand. So, for instance, with a regular 8th note hi-hat groove, you are just simply playing the 1s, ands, 2s, ands, 3s, and 4 and with your right hand. By picking up, as we've learned in previous videos, by picking up the notes in between that with the left hand, you have your 1 E and a, 2 E and a's. So it's really quite simple. It's a little bit weird at first because it takes a lot of understanding the patterns. But other than that, once you get through that, it's actually pretty simple to do. And you can achieve a lot faster speeds by playing with two hands, obviously. The first thing I want to make sure I go over with you guys is the pattern at hand. So lesson A. Lesson A is the most simplest of all of them. It's just basically playing your hi-hat on all the notes, except for 2 and 4, which are played on the snare drum. Which means that at some point you're going to have to bring one of your hands down to hit the snare drum. That hand, for this particular exercise, will be your right hand. Because your right hand is going to be playing on all the 1s, ands, 2s, ands, 3s, and 4s, ands, etc., etc. Your left hand is going to be playing on the E's and A's, just like I stated before. So the pattern will go like this. 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. Now you want to take as much time as you can studying this and listening to this pattern. If you don't have the pattern right, you're not playing it right. Exercise B can actually be considered to be the same as A, except for rather than playing the snare drum on 2 and 4, you're just playing the bass drum on 1 and 3. That is right, that is correct. It is technically the same. But the problem is that coordination-wise, you're not having to bring another limb down to hit your bass drum because your foot's already on the pedal. So your hands are going to remain on the hi-hat and you're going to be playing the bass drum on 1 and 3. So just make sure you get this pattern down as well. Number 1 is obviously we're going to be putting it together, so you want to make sure that you have A and B down before we step into number 1. So I'll see you at number 1. Exercise 1, as I stated before, is just A and B put together. It's because you've already worked on hitting the bass drum on 1 and 3, and you've already worked on bringing that right hand down to hit the snare drum. This one actually will probably be pretty simple to you because it is a drum beat after all, and it is very similar to many of the other drum beats that we've done already. So you should have no problem with this one. Beat 2 is pretty simple as well, but I am going to ramp it up a little bit. I put the bass drum on 1 and then 3 and. So remember, you're playing the ones, ands, twos, ands with your right hand. The left hand is just there to pick up the E's and Ahs that fit between the right hand. It's pretty simple. So just remember, the bass drums go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Make sure you add that left hand in there. So listen to the demonstration. You should have no problem with this. Exercise 3, we're gonna start bringing our left hand down to hit the snare drum. So we're gonna be playing almost like 16th notes on snare, but it's going to be constantly alternating because your right hand is going to also be playing on the hi-hat. Your left hand's going to be playing on the hi-hat. So you're going to have to start bringing both hands down. It's going to be like a juggling fest here. So I kept this one simple. The bass drum is just going to be on 1 and 3. The snare drum is going to be on the E of 1, 2, the A of 2, and then 4. So like 1 E and 2 and A3, 4. 1 E and 2 and A3 and 4. Really listen to what I'm doing here. Really pay attention to the way my hands are moving, because remember, you have to bring your left hand down to play the E's and the Ahs on the snare drum. And then you have to bring your right hand down to play the 2 and 4 pattern. Beat 4 is going to be a real humzinger. I put the bass drum patterns on 1 and, the and of 2, the and of 3. That's it for the bass drum. Anyway, the snare drum is going to be on the E of 1 and then 2, the A of 2, the E of 3, and then the A of 4. This one is going to be very, very tricky, okay? I want you to seriously listen to what I'm doing, and I actually probably should have made these a little bit simpler, but for some reason I was feeling a bit cruel. Now, beat 5 is probably going to be a lot more simple, or a lot simpler than exercises 3 and 4. We're going to be playing 16th notes with the bass drum, so this will be a little bit simpler because your hands can stay stationary on the hi-hat, except for when you have to hit 2 and 4. But the bass drum is now going to be playing with the and, the ones, ands, twos, ands, as well as the E's and the Ahs. Now, keep in mind that when you see the bass drum on the 1 and 2, 3, 4, whatever, that's matching with your right hand. when it's on the E's and the A's, you have to match it at the same time with your left hand. So it's not going to be really easy, but it'll be a little bit easier. So exercise 5, we have the bass drum on 1, the A of 1, and then we have the bass drum on the AND of 2, 3, and then the E of 4. The snare drum again is just going to be on 2 and 4. Pay attention to the way that I play this exercise. It's pretty simple. You just have to make sure that you line up the hi-hat and the bass drum. You should have no problem with this other than that. It will take you a little bit, but I don't care. Good luck. Beat 6, we're going to start pairing these 16th notes together. We have the bass drum on 1E, the A of 2, and then 3, and then the AND of 3. So again, your hands are going to stay up on here. Your right hand, obviously being matched up with the 1s and the ANDs, 2s, and 3s, and 4, and the left hand is being matched up with the E's and the A's. So listen to my demonstration. You should have no problem with this one. This is going to be one of the only times where I tell you that using a metronome at first is probably not a good idea. You may want to actually try playing these out of rhythm just to make sure that you land each hit properly with whatever hand you're lining it up with. Like I said earlier in the video that I made some of these a little bit harder than I should have. I don't regret that. I have confidence that, you could probably figure this one out. If you do have any problems, you could actually go back to all the 16th note hi-hat groove videos that I made, or just look at the PDFs. And you could use those PDFs to kind of build yourself up to these. They'll allow you to take things a little bit slower. The only difference is that there's going to be X's going all the way across, because you're going to be, obviously you had to match your right hand with your left hand when you were playing certain things. You can just ignore those. You can just use the examples that I gave you in this episode, where you bring your left hand down to hit the E's and the A's, and then you bring your right hand down to hit the 1s, ANDs, 2s, ANDs, 3s, ANDs, 4s, ANDs. The bass drum obviously is just lining up with your right and your left hand. You already know all this, but I'm just giving you an example. You can go back and watch those videos, or you could go back and download those PDFs and just make sure that you're comfortable with everything. Other than that, I don't really think I have anything else to add. Well, that's all there is for this episode. If you like this episode, make sure you contact me through the email section at claytonskinner.com. You can also click the little like button down there, whatever suits your fancy. Either way, I hope to see you next time. Have a good one.